Right.
Okay, there's some serious bromance going on here, and I won't
No,
say
no, that is
I'm
nothing.
loving it. I'm loving it.
Same
Uh,
here, same here, same here. But yeah, anyways, you have very limited time, but someday definitely we will have this kind of conversation going forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You are very kind. My
Yeah.
ego is doing very well here.
Right,
So I don't talk about my age very much. It's kind of like a bit of a secret. But the
right.
truth is, I have a big birthday in a few months' time.
Okay, okay, okay.
I turn 50 in May.
50. Oh
Yeah,
my
I know.
God. You don't
I
look.
know.
I mean, I think I would probably name Brian Johnson, someone who is a millionaire, tech millionaire. But
Yeah, I know, Brian.
you look younger than him also, right?
Simple.
Right.
Cedric, you're doing really well at interviewing me because I love cars. And for me, you have one life. And life
Right.
is long or life is short. It makes a difference. But there's one life. You have to do what you want to. What you have to do. What's good in life. And I love cars. So I thought for 6 months I'm going to do this dream job. I'm going to help people buy cars. I love buying cars. And I love helping
Right.
people to doing it. I'd love to say that we are geniuses and we know things that people don't know. We've learned. And we've learned the same way most people learn. We make mistakes. We still make mistakes. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake as long as A, it's not done on purpose, and B, you learn from it. So this is how, going, an hour and a half in, the car dies. I have to call out recovery. Recovery gets me going,
Right.
and then I keep going. And my other plan as well was this was done during winter time, and I wanted to get to the client during daylight because classic car headlights are rubbish. I didn't really want to be driving it at night. So I thought 4 hours, plenty of time to get there. It was a hell of an adventure. Do I regret it? Not as much as I should do. But it was yeah.
That was really challenging one.
Yeah, but it's fun. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? It's funny the fact that
To another exciting episode of Set Talks. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Ashley Winston, chief car finder and creator of Palmdale Motors. Ashley's mission is simple but yet impactful. Ashley work not only helps everybody to transition smoother, but an obsession for anything on four wheels. His expertise lies in spanning cars, sourcing, valuation, marketing, and beyond. Get ready to learn and live with actionable tips to make your car buying experience a breeze. But it's not all. Ashley's stories and insight will give you first perspective on succeeding in a fast changing industry. Welcome to Set Talk, Ashley. First of all, thank you so much for taking out the time for this podcast.
thank you for having me. More
Yeah.
importantly,
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
I
So I
might have
have
to
some.
applaud that introduction. That was a great introduction. I love that.
Yes, it's my pleasure, Ashley. I know you are busy still. You manage your time. It means a lot. I have some questions lined up for you. Are you ready?
Please,
Yeah,
go.
go. I'm really excited for this podcast. Yeah,
Me too.
Ashley, your journey is very unique. Can you tell us about your journey into the world of cars? What sparked
Mm.
your obsession with cars?
Do you know what? I hate to answer the first question with I don't know, but the actual truth is that this passion I have for cars
Right,
and the word obsession may be more accurate than passion, but obsession's an ugly word. So we try not to use that. We prefer the word passion. I don't know where it comes from. I have
right,
lots of friends who are into their cars, and most of them it happened because their fathers and sometimes their mothers like their cars. That wasn't the case in my family. No one in my family would like their cars, but right from an early age, just the little model cars and just I loved everything. And then when I got my driver's license, and in fact, for the most of my life, the vast majority of my income, where I can, is
right,
spent on cars because I love cars. And I worked I went to university. I worked in marketing for banks for a number of years, and my income was something I used to go and buy cars, as I said. And then after a while, I started helping out people buying their cars, just friends.
Right.
Be the nice guy. When you know about something, people ask you about it, which is what happens. And then at some point, I decided when friends of friends ask me, I'm going to charge them a little bit of money, not much, but my thought is I'd take that money and put it in my car fund, which would help, pay for my love of cars. And then it was actually 20 years ago in March.
Right.
LinkedIn says 20 years ago yesterday, but it's actually March. LinkedIn is rarely wrong, but it is this time. I thought, well, do you know what? I'm going to start to help people professionally because I love cars. And for me, you have one life, and life
Right.
is long or life is short. It makes a difference, but there's one life. You have to do what you have to do what's good in life. And I love cars. So I thought for 6 months, I'm going to do this dream job. I'm going to help people buy cars. I love buying cars and I love helping
Right.
people. And yeah, so I'm 19 and a half years late stopping my 6 month deadline. And I'm never looked back. That's my very simple history about how a guy like me came to do what he loves to do every day of the week.
Wow, that's inspiring story, yeah, actually. Behind
Thank you.
you, like these are luxury cars. You only deal with luxury cars.
No, behind me are a couple of my own toys. So you
Okay.
actually, these are a couple of my. We mainly as a business source normal cars for normal people.
Right. Hmm.
Our business is split 50-50. Half are UK people who don't like going to the UK car dealers because they're not always as good as they should be. I was going to say they're always awful. I
Right.
don't like the word always. A lot of the time, they're not as good as they should be. And so they ask for help. And half our clients are people who are moving from overseas to the UK as part of a corporate relocation, and we help them find their cars. But they are mainly normal cars and normal people. We do interesting cars and we do exciting cars, but we like to spend our company money on interesting cars ourselves. So actually, there's actually more off screen, which gets a bit
Right.
embarrassing.
Right. Right.
But yeah, these are a couple of my. I'm fortunate enough to have a couple of my own toys.
Oh, these are your car. Wow, actually, you're living, I mean, a life, king size life, I would say. I
Oh,
know. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. I might have to remember that. I look at it as a childish life.
Right.
I never grew up and I like toys, and
Right.
that's just how it's going to be.
Right. 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 Wow, actually, great. I mean, what inspired you to create Palmdale Motors? How did it all begin, Ashley?
Well, I guess the inspiration was not discovered until fairly recently, which sounds a bit strange
Right.
because my inspiration was, as I said, to do something that I love to do.
Right.
That's what I wanted to do.
Right.
And I like helping people, but it's only fairly recently have I actually finally understood why I'm here and why our team does what we do and the purpose of the company. And the
Right.
purpose of the company, as I said before, that buying a used car, and it is mainly what we do, almost all we would do, used cars, is difficult in the UK.
Hmm.
The car dealers, not always, we know some great car dealers, but they sometimes take advantage of their customers. They don't treat them right. They sell them cars they shouldn't sell them. We've had lots of instances where we've seen them be dishonest. It's not right. These people are spending a significant sum of money on a car.
Right.
There's an analogy I like to use. I was out for dinner with a friend last week, and we had a really nice meal. The service was really good. The food was great, and I thought, what would I pay for this? And I thought, you know what? £100. I have to translate it to rupees for me.
No, no, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
£100
Yeah.
is, I pay, and it wasn't nowhere near that, but for quality of the service, I'd be happy to pay £100.
Right.
And I thought, okay, what if I spent £10,000 on a car, 100 times the amount? And in the UK, £10,000 would not get you very much of a car. It gets you, an okay, maybe not that great car. And
Right.
I thought, where would I expect to get better service? And I thought I'd expect to get far better service with my £100 meal than my £10,000 car. And that drives me nuts. How can you spend 100 times the amount and receive worse service? So, although I didn't realize it at the time, the reason we exist and my passion is the fact that people need to be treated fairly and respectfully. And,
Right.
it needs to be shown that this is a large ticket purchase. You know, you,
Right.
we have clients who spent 100 grand on a car before they knew us. They've gone to a car dealer and it's like, yeah, here's the keys, mate. Enjoy the car. Bye. It's just not, it's not appropriate.
Right.
When we deliver a car to a client, we give them a red carpet treatment. And that's not a term, that is literal. Our team of delivery drivers have a red carpet on them. They literally rolled it out. So the first time a client sees their door, sees their car, it has a red carpet leading from the door. And we do other stuff as well. So yeah, that's my reason for doing it. That's my passion.
Your journey is very unique, actually. I was going to your profile. You understood the personal pain what you are going through, and you understood the problem is so big that that's why you're able to, come up with the ultimate solution. A similar journey, I would say, Uber's founder. Uber's founder, he is so like when we are starting, it's a personal pain journey. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
yeah, that's something
It's
really, yeah. That's why you are able to, in depth, you are able to go and come up with the ultimate solution.
it's a fight. I'm not a fighter.
Hmm.
I almost said I'm a lover, not a fighter, but that would be a terrible thing to say. Oh, I said it. It's a fight. It's a fight of a little team of guys based in an office in West London
Right.
against every massive car dealer out there. But we got to fight because we're the people we're fighting for. It's David and Goliath. We are absolutely David,
Right.
but we're going to do what we can to win. Yeah, it's a big passion of ours.
Right. Right. Car buying can be stressful process actually for many. What's the common mistake you see buyers make?
Mm. Lots. But if I had to nail it down to one, I
Right.
would say time. And we find clients doing one of two things, either side of it, either taking too long, as in
Hmm.
they will decide they need to change their car, and 6 months later wouldn't have quite got around to it because it means going to a car dealer and they don't like the experience, or the opposite, which is rushing. And they'll go out, they'll go to their local car dealer, whichever one is closest to them, and go, I will have that one. You're not
Right.
buying a pizza off the shelf to cook in your oven from a supermarket. You're buying a car that costs a lot of money, and but if you buy a wrong one, will be expensive to maintain, and it's got to be done right. So yeah, that would be my top tip. If you're going to do it, start it straight away, but don't rush it.
Time is the crucial part. Right.
Absolutely.
Actually, you're known for your semi-amusing stories. Can you share one of your favorite or most memorable car finding adventures?
Now, you use the term semi-amusing, which I'll
Right.
take as an insult if it wasn't the fact that that's what's on my LinkedIn profile, semi-amusing.
Right. Right.
I'm absolutely one of the top two funniest people on this call right now.
Right.
But okay, a story. Okay, this is from a year or two. No, it'll be 2 years ago now. You asked, you made the assumption that we saw nice cars like stuff in the
Right.
background, and I told you it's normal stuff. Well, we do get involved in interesting stuff once in a while, and we had a client who'd moved to the UK about 9 months previous. We'd sourced them a
Mm-hmm.
car, and I get an email from him saying, "I'd love one of these and a photo of a car, a
Right.
really old car." And it was a gorgeous looking old car. And it was what it was called. There's a British company called Riley. Riley doesn't exist anymore. Riley hasn't existed in a long time. This car was called a Riley RMA. It was, I guess it was a normal sedan or saloon car that
Right.
was from the 40s, the 1940s. And he said, how much would it take to buy one? And they weren't expensive. We set a budget and we started looking for one for him. And it took a few months to find the right car because I found everything was either really overpriced or was not good quality. And he didn't want a show car. It wasn't going to live in the garage. It was going to live on his drive. There's no point. I own classic cars myself, and I know there's no point getting an absolutely immaculate one because you'll never drive it. And so we found him a car, a nice car, and I thought, you know what? Rather than send a team of drivers, as it's a cool one, I'm going to do it myself. And with a car that's from the 1940s, when a car is that old, the sensible way to do it is you go
Right.
look at the car and then you send a truck for the car to pick up the car and deliver it to the client because you don't really want to drive a car that's that old, that kind of distance.
Right.
Well, I thought, wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be a great adventure to go to Swansea, which is in Wales, which is probably, I guess, it's probably about, it's about as far west, on the straight line from London as you can get, and drive it to the client in Southampton, which in a normal car, if there's no traffic, would be just under 3 hours. Now, this Riley RMA will only go up to maximum 50 miles per hour. And of course,
Hmm.
everyone in the UK drives 70 to 80. So I thought, well, I'll stay off the motorways. And I planned out a route. And I thought the route's about 4 hours. It will be fun. An
Right.
hour out, I went to, took the train to the car. The car was as described, sent the money, got in the car. About an hour after Swansea, I started to get lower power. It's not a fast car, and the power's going down so much so that I can't even get to 40 miles an hour. I'm going, and an hour and a half in, the car dies. I have to call out recovery. Recovery gets me going,
Right.
and then I keep going. And my other plan as well was this was done during winter time, and I wanted to get to the client during daylight because classic car headlights are rubbish. I didn't really want to be driving it at night. So I thought 4 hours, plenty of time to get there in time for sunset. Well, it was a long, long journey. It was a cold journey as well because I couldn't get the heaters to work. And I turned up at the client about 9:30 at night. It took me 9.5 hours to do what should have been a 3 hour journey. It was a hell of
Right.
an adventure. Do I regret it? Not as much as I should do. But yeah,
That
it
was
was
really challenging one.
yeah, but it's fun. Yeah, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? It's funny the
Right.
fact that,
Right.
I have it in my head this wonderful adventure is going to be a really cool drive. And it was an adventure, just not
Right.
the same way it should be. It's like the TV program Top Gear, like in real
Right.
life. It was funny. It was funny.
It was you're saying because actually you are I mean we went through all, but you're smiling and you're
Oh
saying it was
yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it.
yeah,
It was a challenge. At the time, was I smiling for all of that 9+ hours driving the car? No,
right,
I wasn't. I have I don't have any tattoos, but one day I'm going to get a tattoo. My tattoo's going to read, "Life's too short to drive boring cars." And I
right,
remind myself of that because I love cool, interesting cars, but they're
right.
not very reliable. And I had four breakdowns over 2 months,
Okay.
a few months back. Every time I broke down, I'm like, no, this is my choice. Life's too short to drive boring cars, and the price that is you pay for it. And when that happens, you can't be upset. You just got to just laugh it off because this is life.
You that's what something keep you going actually. The positive outlook,
Yeah,
your journey itself, right?
absolutely. It's always positive. There's always stuff to learn. There's always fun to be had.
Yeah, and you are so busy, you don't have to time to think of about your past and all. You are in the presence. That's something really great about you, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's life. Like, as we said before, life goes. Well, you know it.
life goes.
Enjoy it. Make good
And
use of
you
it.
you love your journey. You're passionate about what you're doing.
It's a great journey. It's a love.
Right,
It's a great journey. And do I know where it's going to take me? No, that's okay. I'm all right with that.
right. Wow. I mean, that's something really great.
Thank
What's the
you.
most unusual card you have ever sourced for a client, Ashley?
I mean, the Riley RMA would definitely be up there in unusual.
Right,
I think cars depend on the situation for me. So I get asked this question occasionally, and my answer has to. I always go back to
right,
Rabbi Frank. A rabbi is a Jewish priest or a leader of community,
right,
and Rabbi Frank was an American from California, and he moved to the UK like 8 years ago. When he was a young man, and when he first moved to the UK, he had a Citroen 2CV, what they call a Dechauveau. And how can I describe a Citroen 2CV? They're very small. They have tires that are about that thin. They are just the weirdest. They look like a snail. They're just
right.
the weirdest classic car ever, and then they're really badly put together. And so Rabbi Frank said, "I want another Citroen 2CV," and they were never built well, so they have a big problem with rust. And generally, when you buy one brand new, within 5 years, the car rusted to pieces. So we found Rabbi Frank this car, the Citroen 2CV, exactly as he wanted. They'd been fully restored. They weren't a huge amount of money. Delivered him the car, and everything was great. And I tell you why I find this the weirdest car we've sourced because I can imagine a rabbi turning up to a bar mitzvah or a wedding in a Citroen 2CV, and it kind of being a really cool thing. But I think rabbis do more funerals than do anything like that. And it's just a bit bizarre the fact to have to turn up to a funeral in this car. So it was just what I call a bizarre car for, a pillar of the community. A fun guy, lovely, lovely guy, and great car. But yeah, just which is odd as far as what it was supposed to be. And it was technically it was his company car. So the
Okay,
synagogue paid for it. Sadly,
right.
he oh, no, sadly it didn't it deteriorated very quickly. So I saw the car 4 or 5 years down the line, had some
Hmm.
dents in it. The rust had started to come back. There were mechanical issues to it. So he had his experience. But yeah, it's definitely a bit of a weird one.
How do you balance the personal touch with the business, Ashley, side of car finding?
Very, very badly. Very badly. In case you
You've been
can't tell.
honest,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Personal, well, I guess when you say personal versus business, you mean like my personal life versus my business life, or do you mean like my personal
right?
feelings? Should we do? We can do both of those questions. Should make it a two for one question?
Yeah,
Okay,
two
we'll do
for
that.
yeah, fine.
Okay, so personal and business life. I used to be a real struggle. When you do something that started as a hobby, you have to be
Right,
really careful about it intruding in life. So for years, there was my cell number, my mobile number, no one had. And only in the last year have I got a work cell phone, which I leave on my desk when I go home. Because I used to always work because it's so
right,
much fun. I'd work on a Sunday, I'd take calls. I was at a black tie dinner on a Saturday night somewhere, and I spent half an hour on the phone to a client. It was unhealthy,
right.
and so I stopped that. So I've had to have lots of stuff in place to make sure that I understand that there's work time. We have a company policy that you're not allowed to send emails after 7 p.m. at night or before 8 a.m. UK
Right.
time because you're not split. That's pleasure time. You're not supposed to be working that time. You do not work Sundays. It's not acceptable
Not
because
not
we
for
all.
founders also.
Sorry.
No, that policies are even acceptable for founders of the company.
100, yeah, absolutely. You can't put a policy in place. Everyone else and go, well, I'm not going to do it because I'm the founder.
Right,
You have to lead by example. You can't expect anyone to do anything that you're not going to do yourself. So yeah, absolutely.
right,
And I'm probably the most important person that applies to because I'm the one most likely. Look, don't worry. If I want to work on a Sunday, I'll work on a Sunday. But I'll make sure no emails go out. I'll schedule them to go out on 8 a.m. the next morning,
right.
and I won't do anything that anyone can see. That's up to me. But it's about showing people that those are the hours. As far as like personal personality and business personality goes, that's where I have a real problem
Right.
because this is a passion project for not just for me, but for the whole team here. We're all on the same page. We're all driving down the same road, unintended.
Right.
We're all, that's what we're all for. So we do things that are bad for business and good from a personal point of view the whole time. We always make decisions that are bad on a financial decision. Like, should this, something, occasionally things go wrong. And should this client have their money back before they've even asked for it? Yeah, absolutely. They deserve it back. Let's give them the money back, etc. Or let's do this, or let's pay for that, or let's offer this nice client this thing. It's going to cost us money. We don't care. It's just what we want to do. So, in that point of view, we're a terrible business because we're just not financially focused. We have a passion, we have our mission, and that's what we're working towards.
You're the first guest who's been so honest, Ashley, I must say.
Always, always. I'll lie on the next question. So is that
Right,
okay?
right. That's really right, right. You are also pro at car. What's the secret to getting right it every time, Ashley, with your clients?
Yeah, it's Joe, I won't lie, I'll tell the truth on this one.
Right, right,
It is yeah, it's really simple.
right,
Cedric, you're doing really well at interviewing me.
right,
How many interviews you've done a lots of interviews?
right. I did almost 20 plus.
Right.
You look like a Hollywood hero. Right.
Okay.
This is what India
This
is going to
is
say. Right.
okay. There's some serious bromance going on here, and I won't
No,
say
no, that is
I'm
nothing.
loving it. I'm loving it.
Same
Uh,
here, same here, same here. But yeah, anyways, you have very limited time, but someday definitely we will have this kind of conversation going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk about trends, Ashley. What are some of the biggest shifts you have noticed in the automobile market recently?
It depends on what you call recently. Recently, in the last few years, the biggest thing
Right,
we've found has been the massive influx of Chinese manufacturers bringing cars to the UK, and a lot of people look at it as this is a new strange thing. It's not at all. We've seen this before.
right,
When Japanese cars first started coming to the world markets, and like I say UK, but it is the world market. Japanese cars started coming to the world markets. They weren't that good. They
right,
weren't that reliable. We go, what, Japanese cars weren't reliable? Yes. When they first started coming, they weren't that reliable in the 70s, and then they made a name for themselves. When Hyundai and Kia and SsangYong to some respect started coming to the world markets, their cars were a little bit crappy, to be quite frank. And now their cars are some of the best cars you can buy. In many respects, I would put certain Kias and Hyundais on a par with Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. They're certainly built to last longer
Right.
than those premium brands. So at the moment, we've seen Chinese cars that, I'll be quite frank, aren't that well screwed together, don't last that long, and feel a bit cheap, but are cheap.
Hmm.
And there are plenty of car buyers around the world. I know India has lots of cars that we don't get in the UK, because you can buy a brand new car in India for
Right.
a lot less than you can buy a brand new car in the UK.
Right.
And I know there's a lot more Chinese cars coming into India as well. So
Right.
yeah, for a lot of markets, it's price. You have a cheap car, and look, I'm a car guy. I like to drive an interesting car or a nice car. But for a
Right.
normal person, they really care whether it feels a little bit cheap here or a little bit there if they've saved thousands of pounds on their car. No, they don't. So I suspect we're going to find, and there are a couple of Chinese cars coming out probably this year that I think are going to change our perspective about how we view the quality of Chinese cars. So I think that's going to change as time goes by. So that's a big thing, and it's good because look, a lot of people don't like Chinese cars
Hmm.
because they say the Chinese government are unfair. The Chinese government supports their car manufacturers with lots of incentives, which means the Chinese car manufacturers can produce cars cheaper than the Europeans and the Germans and the Japanese. So they go, well, that's unfair. We should add extra taxes to their car. I don't think it's unfair at all. If it makes the car cheaper and the consumer wins, what
Right.
difference does it make? So I think that's going to be a big change. More choice and more competition is only ever a good thing for any market. So I look forward to that. Over a longer period, to a less degree, and it's the obvious thing is to say electric vehicles.
Right.
There's been a big take up on electric vehicles, but in the UK, I don't know what's like around the rest of the world.
Right.
In the UK, there was an initial big take up of electric vehicles, and then probably about 3 years ago, there was a lot of bad press about electric vehicles.
Hmm.
Oh, none of the chargers ever work, and you're always worried about when you're going to run out of electricity, and it's all right, they're good on the environment for when you're running them, but they're hugely environmentally impact to actually produce them because of all the rare materials in them. Same with anything, there's pros and cons to everything. And as a petrol head, as a guy who likes interesting cars with petrol engines that sound loud and drive fast
Right.
and look cool, you think I'd be the last person to like electric vehicles. So a number of years ago, we bought ourselves an electric vehicle because we wanted to see what it was like and understand what it's like. And I can tell you, they're great. They're not for everyone, but they're
Hmm.
but they're great. So that's been, I think a lot of the governments around the world are pushing towards more electric vehicles. I'm not sure it's going to be quite as quickly as everyone says it will be, but it's going to be whereas most cars are petrol now, most cars will be electric in not too long. I think we've got to accept that. And when there are electric vehicle haters, they're
Hmm.
electric vehicle evangelists, and I love it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, every time I post something about electric vehicle, I get
Right.
both sides come out, and I see them fighting on my timeline. It's beautiful.
Right.
Those go, well, I'd never drive one. None of the chargers work. It doesn't go far enough. And those who've actually experienced them, and generally the ones who are anti-electric vehicles, 90% of the time have never had an electric vehicle.
Hmm.
So yeah, those are the two trends I think are gonna, I'll come
But
into
you're
the
not
next.
worried on the take of EV revolution, like your industry part.
No, not at all. Not at all. What worries me is
Right.
self-driving cars,
Okay.
because in theory, in a self-driving car, you don't need your own car. You just call one when you need one. It doesn't really matter if you're just they'll still be, and that's going to reduce the number of actual individuals who own cars.
Right.
I think we're way off, but that's what worries me in my business. But I've said before, when the market doesn't need us anymore, we're going to go away. If every car dealer tomorrow wakes up and goes, I'm going to offer my customers the best service I can, I'm shutting my business down because we're just not needed anymore, and I'll find something else to do in my life. So that's all okay.
Okay. I mean, you are really honest, I would say. So, actually, what's your favorite car all time and why?
Uh, okay. Favorite car of all time would be a Ferrari F40. I've never
Okay.
owned one. I've never driven one. I've never owned one because I'm not too sure I could really ever pay a couple of £1 million for a car. I think that's just a bit. too much.
Right.
It was a hero car. It came out in the late 80s, early 90s. It was a hero car of mine. I like Ferraris, and it is one of the best driving cars ever. It looks awesome. It's kind of old enough to be cool now, but it's more about the fact that apparently they are the most amazing cars to drive, and that's the experience I want. Will I ever get one? Cedric, I doubt it. I really do
Right.
because it's just there's just so much money. But yeah, that's the picture of one. Where is it?
Right.
Oh, there was a picture of one. Where it's gone? We had a picture of one about there, but I've only just
Okay.
noticed it's not on our wall anymore.
So behind you, what are the cars there? These are luxuries, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is a Lotus Exige,
Right.
which is a British-built sports car. Very
It's $1 million,
fast.
I believe. $1 million.
No, no, no,
Okay.
not even close to that. Lotuses are they're good value.
Okay.
They are a fraction of what a Ferrari costs. It's the car's built to be light and handle well. It's a great car for a racetrack. Is what we
Mm-hmm.
use it for. This is a Dodge Viper.
Okay.
These are I've never seen one on the road in the UK.
Okay.
It's an American car. It was built in the early 90s
Hmm.
by Dodge. They want to have a sports car, and when they first came out with this car, this
Right.
like because when they before they do a car, they do what's called a concept, where they do like a well, you
Right.
will look at this,
Right.
and their magazine I liked had a double page picture of it, and I took it out and I put it on my bedroom wall, and I was obsessed with this car.
Right.
When they brought out the real car, it looked very similar to the concept. Because usually with a concept car, you go at the real one, it's like, oh, it's not, doesn't look anything like it, like we were told it's going to look. And this one really did. And I always wanted one. And they're crazy. The here is an 8-liter
Okay.
10-cylinder
Italy.
engine
Hmm.
in a tiny car. It's a mad car. There's nothing to stop you killing yourself. There's no anti-lock brakes. There are no airbags. There's no traction control. It's just death on wheels. And last summer, when I found out a friend of mine, dad owned one,
Right.
and he was thinking about selling it, I had to take the opportunity. It is the most stupid car to own if you live in London. It has no roof.
But
It
still a
gets
very expensive one, right?
no, it's not that expensive. Not
Okay.
too expensive actually. No, no, it's cheaper than it. Yeah, it's probably slightly cheaper than the Lotus. I don't.
Okay.
The problem with expensive cars, I
Right.
find, is
Right.
that is that you drive an expensive car, you don't want to park it anywhere. You don't want to leave it without you. You're
Right.
worried about how much it costs to do this, do that. I don't like expensive cars. I like value cars. Yeah, these aren't massively expensive cars on the marketplace. I like this because it's rare and it's weird, and I've never seen one in the UK before, and it's stupid. I like stupid cars.
Yeah. That's the passion you have. That's something like really great about you. I mean, what's the
Thank you.
one thing about car buying process the most people, I mean, they don't know how you are helping them, your clients.
Yeah, it's uh, the one thing that I find that I struggle with, and it's not with every car dealer in
Right.
the UK, but it's with a lot of them, is the fact that a lot of used car dealers believe the transaction between a buyer and them is a war. And that's a scary thing for me when I figure that out. It's
Right.
a war. It's us versus them. It's not, this is my customer. You know, the
Hmm.
situation we're all taught in business that the best scenario for any negotiation is a win-win. I feel like I've won. They feel like they've won. That's where everyone leaves happy. With a dealer, it's a war, and they feel that some dealers, no, I know some dealers feel that the customer's going to try and rip them off, going to try and take
Right.
advantage of them. And therefore, as a dealer, they need to get in there first and take advantage of the customer first of all. And that's a disgusting, horrible, and scary attitude. So that's the one thing I'd like people to realize is that with some dealers, they really are going to try to do what they can to get you because that's just their mentality. Actually, you are very kind. My
Yeah.
ego is doing very well here.
Right.
So I don't talk about my age very much. It's kind of like a bit of a secret. But the
Right. Right.
truth is, I have a big birthday in a few months' time.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
I turn 50 in May.
50. Oh
Yeah,
my
I know.
God. You don't
I
look.
know.
I mean,
Thank you.
I think I would probably name Brian Johnson, someone who is a millionaire, tech millionaire. But
Yeah, I know,
you
Brian.
you you look younger than him also, right?
Ah,
So what
oh,
advice
I
you would like?
didn't. No, I didn't learn to manage my
Okay.
finances at a very early age, and this was part of the problem. And I think, yeah, I don't know what it's like in India, but in the UK, it's way too little. You know,
Hmm.
we need to be teaching our children. importance of finances and saving and how things work right from very
Right,
early
right.
age. I've tried my very best to teach my daughter
Hmm.
fiscal responsibility, but it's not taught in school. How can it not be taught in school? It's such an
Same,
important
same,
life skill.
same in India also. We would say it is not in taught in school. I mean,
Think
these are
about
life
it.
lessons. Yeah.
Well, it's not just life lessons, but if everyone child was taught how to be fiscally responsible,
Right,
how much tax would it save on pensions and this and that? The whole
right,
economy of the country would be better. Would be better. So
right,
yeah, yeah, got to be done. It's not. I'm no politician, so
right,
I don't know where to start with that problem. I think we should have to agree it is a problem.
right, right. Yeah, it's an I would say individual, depending on the individual choice, like how they cope up with them.
Yeah.
Actually, you look 25, but still, I would like to ask this question. Imagine you are 25 in 2025. Okay.
Last year,
Yeah, this year you are
no, well,
25.
last year when I was 25.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine you are 25 in
Yeah.
2025. What are the financial steps you would be taking to set yourself on path to achieve financial independence? And what are the steps you would be take to scale your career? How do you invest in yourself?
Two things. Number one,
Right.
very simply, save more, put more away. Don't
Right.
spend it all.
Okay.
I was very bad when I was 25. I was very good at spending money.
Right.
Should have saved more because by the time you hit 75, that
Right.
little money you've saved is so much more. So it's from a financial point of view, I'd say save more. From a point of view of advice as far as sorry, advice for your career, was it?
Right. Career.
Yeah, career and perseverance. I would say read more.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a well, it's not true. I wasn't a massive reader when I was
Hmm.
25. Yeah, and I'm reading books now that I should have read when I was 25. Funny, it's really funny. I had a meeting with a guy I know who's 19, just started his own business, run his own business for a few months now, at
Right.
19. And he said to me, a very similar question, what would you tell 19-year-olds to do? And I'd say, read this book. And gave him, yeah, a book or two
Right.
to read. Um, and I said, I wish I would have read this book at 25. It would have just changed my life. So yeah, read more. You know, the more I read, I'm finally starting to read properly, the more it said you should read more. So I
Right.
am.
This is the last question, actually.
Is it a really good one though? I want to end on
Hmm.
a great one.
Right. It will be, I believe, I will try my best, actually.
Okay, all right.
Make sure
Go.
this question will be most exciting and it will be, yeah, let's,
Okay.
I hope I can try my best. Imagine this, Ashley, you are in a room with Elon Musk, Tom Cruise, and Donald Trump, US president, man himself, the legend, I would. You have chance to ask each of them one question. What three questions you would be asking these iconic figures? Elon Musk, Tom Cruise,
Tom
and
Cruise and
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Um, I'd only ask one question.
right. Only ask one question.
I'd lean towards Tom Cruise
Right,
and I'd whisper in his ear, mate, can we go and get a beer somewhere and talk about cars and bikes, please? And then
right,
me and Tom Cruise would leave as quickly as possible.
right, right. Maybe I believe he will crack a deal with you on
Maybe,
cars.
maybe. I think he's a Trump supporter, so maybe that wouldn't work
Okay,
out too well. Yeah, sorry, that's a very flippant answer to a very good question. But I try not to be political, but I do not want to be in a room with either Elon Musk or Donald Trump ever. Thank you very much. Can I ask you one question?
yeah, please,
Do you
please.
mind? I'm sorry to turn the tables on you, but
Yeah,
bear in mind, I kind of ruined your last question. Let me ask you a question, see if we can end on a bit of a high.
right,
If you could have a said talks with anyone in the world, who
right.
would it be with?
Anyone, only one guest, right?
Do you know what? You can expand
It would
this.
be Warren Buffett, investor, American
Yep,
investor. Yeah.
yeah.
He's the number one investor I have ever seen in my. So because I have learned a lot from him about the basic principles. I have read his few of the letters he have written
Hmm.
and the few of the books I believe. From I hope this episode has left you inspired like I am. Whether you are in the market for a car or just curious about the fascinating world of car finding, Ashley's passion and expertise are nothing short of inspiring, I would say. Thank you for tuning in, Ashley, as always.
Thank you very, very
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
I had huge fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time. I have
Take
included
care.
Ashley's LinkedIn profile. Make sure you follow him.